The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Sold out for weeks due to the difficult and extensive proprietary process behind its creation, the exclusive InfoWars Life Secret 12 formulation is now back in stock in the last limited shipment of 2014. The most bioactive form that has been created with our proprietary process. This ultra-clean vitamin B12 nutraceutical has been carefully crafted and developed over the last 2 years and is based on cellular science of how your body actively absorbs essential nutrients. Secret 12 is taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Vitamin B12 deficiency is linked to scores of serious problems. And Secret 12 is a fusion of 2 organic proprietary forms of vitamin B12, bringing you a true nutraceutical quality vitamin B12. Secret 12 is an excellent Christmas gift. Secure your Secret 12 formula before December 17th at InfoWarsLife.com and receive it before Christmas guaranteed. That's InfoWarsLife.com before December 17th or by calling 888-253-3139. 2015 is almost here, and with it comes those New Year's resolutions to finally transform your body the way you want it. There's a reason over 88% of New Year's resolutions fail. Make this year different by equipping yourself with Oxy Powder, the next level in cleansing the body naturally. Using super oxygenation, Oxy Powder, available through InfoWarsLife.com, gently cleanses the body while you sleep with easy capsules. Tens of thousands of individuals have used Oxy Powder to cleanse their bodies and aid in their transformations. Even InfoWars Nightly News Director Rob Dew has been using Oxy Powder with incredible success.
Took it that first day, then I took it for 6 more days after that. 12 pounds melted off in about a week. I'd say a week, 7 days.
2015 can be different. Diet and exercise are important, but a lot of us have already tried that. Oxy Powder flushes it out. Secure your Oxy Powder at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139.
The average person's life is filled with unexpected challenges. Unlock the energy it takes to defeat these daily beasts with Super Male or Super Female Vitality, specifically designed to assist the body in regulating proper hormone balance to create superior vitality in males and females. Supercharge and conquer your world at InfoWarsLife.com or call 1-888-253-3139.
The government's Department of Homeland Security is buying up loads of ammo. At the same time, they're restricting civilians' rights to own and purchase firearms. Can you put 2 and 2 together? Infidel Body Armor can stop every round, including hollow points and .308 sniper rounds. Is reasonably priced and fully legal. But for how long? Go to InfidelBodyArmor.com, spelled I-N-F-I-D-E-L, bodyarmor.com. Infidel Body Armor. Just won't quit.
Listening to an Infowars.com frontline report. It's Alex Jones.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host today. I have Paul Joseph Watson with me from the UK. We've just been talking about his article that's up on Infowars.com about the police using the Beware program to assign a threat score to you. Looking at your online media posts, profiling you, and essentially giving you a rating from green, yellow to red. And of course, the many problems of that, there's people who could be falsely identified. It's a way they could come after their enemies. And Paul, before we go back to this article, I wanted to give you something that came out today. This is from the Free Thought Project about a police union that was caught putting GPS on rival politicians' cars and framing them for driving under the influence. Now, this is a situation. We've got a couple of former police officers arrested and charged with felonies after this plot came to light. What was happening was they had these guys who were acting independently. They were not acting independently. They were hired by a law firm at the time, represented over 120 police unions across California. And we see this very often, that it's the police unions who are standing against any kind of discipline for excessive police brutality. But in this case, their beef that they had with these two politicians was that they was in regard to the budgets for the police departments. They didn't think that they were getting enough money. So what they did was they had these two guys who were city councilmen. They were meeting at a bar. Afterwards, all they had was non-alcoholic beverages, rather, not even low alcoholic, but non-alcoholic beverages, and then drove home. The police get a call from a observer, let's call them a snitch, who told them that these two had driven home drunk. And so the officers arrest them, and then later determine that they're not under the influence of alcohol. They found out that these two men tracked them in their car using GPS, then called 911 to report that they had been drinking and had seen them leaving a bar. So that's how this can be used. You can use this to take down your political enemies. And when you look at this, you look at a police union law firm that represents law firms hiring these guys to set up councilmen who are opposed to increasing police budgets. You understand? That's how bad this is getting. Somebody that they're politically opposed to, they try to set them up using guys who are operating as snitches. They try to set them up for driving under the influence. Now those guys are going to jail, but this is how this kind of program, the Beware program, can be used against political enemies.
I mean, exactly. If you give them these tools, then it's likely that at some point down the road, they will be used for retribution. And that's how it works, again, in any despotic society that you want to look at. The more technologically advanced they get, the more these kind of tools are used for snitch purposes, to rat out people's business competitors, their political enemies, their family members who they got personal issues with. So the corruption becomes so endemic that it moves beyond any aspect of law and becomes petty and personal.
Exactly.
And then that's when you get a complete Gestapo state.
Yeah, you're talking about petty and personal. These are people, these are elected councilmen who don't want to increase the police budget as much as the police would like to have it. So they're targeted and set up. Now, Paul, we also had this report that has come out today. The Supreme Court, I should say, not a report, but a decision. The Supreme Court just decided by 8-1 that the police can stop your car even if they don't have a valid reason to stop your car. They can then search you. They just made it easier for the police to search your car. In essence, what it boils down to, I think, is essentially enacting the New York Police Department's stop and frisk law, doing it on a much broader scale. And what they said was, in this particular case, it was a car that was stopped in North Carolina. The police officer said, "I'm stopping you because you only have one brake light." Well, that's not against the law in North Carolina. You can have just one brake light. Now, to excuse this, listen to the hoops that they jumped through to try to justify this. Justice Roberts, who wrote the decision, said, "I suspect most of you were surprised to learn that one brake light only is required in North Carolina, even if you are from North Carolina. My question would be, don't the cops understand what the law is? Can they not count to two? Why would they, if they're going to pull somebody over and then search the car and then find something else? To me, that is a stop and frisk type of intimidation. And when you combine that, Paul, with your article here about the Beware program that is being subsidized for local police departments by the federal government, they give $36,000 a year to pay for this for the local police department. When you put that together, is somebody going to run a Beware score on you to get some kind of a threat assessment and then use that as a reason to pull you over? Of course they will.
Well, exactly. The most chilling aspect of it for me is the recent purchases. I mean, will that include gun purchases? Will they say you're stockpiling weapons and ammunition and that's a reason to go and case your house or slap a GPS device on your vehicle? I mean, it's completely open-ended, the abuse that this could lead to. And again, we have to keep emphasizing we're not anti-cop. We're anti-corrupt cop.
Yes.
That's the whole idea. This is reflecting badly on the legitimate, genuine police officers across the country, because this corruption is not being stamped out and it's only being encouraged by the fact that the majority of these high-profile cases, the police officers in question never get in trouble. So it never discourages this kind of behavior.
Well, we're pro-due process. And that's why when I look at something like the Supreme Court decision where they say you don't have to have a reason to do it, when the Constitution talks about having a reasonable cause, they're talking about it in the context of going before a judge. It doesn't mean, as we use it in modern parlance, reasonable says, well, I think that that's plausible. No, it means you have a reason. You're going to go to a judge and you're going to say, this is what I'm looking for. This is why I'm looking for it. This is where I'm going to look for it. And he gives you a search warrant. And when we take that away, we are in a police state, and we can see the effects of this. We can see how the federal government, just looking at this, the name of this program that you're talking about here, Paul, the Beware program, everything is there to scare the cops, to make them adversaries of the public, to ramp up the threat. And now they're assigning these scores to individuals.
Exactly. I mean, somebody who works within that company contacted me and said that everybody who works on that program, they were all freaked out by it, and they're trying to convince their superiors to abandon it. So even the people actually working on it see how chilling it is. And then if we could shift into this other article, which is the MRAP situation. Obviously, we had the exclusive video out of Spokane, Washington, where the sheriff's deputy said on tape, we've got a lot of constitutionalists and a lot of people that stockpile weapons, lots of ammunition. They have weapons here locally. That was the quote. We put it out on InfoWars. And then the Spokane County Sheriff, Ozzy Knezovich, if I'm pronouncing that right, made this bizarre 9-minute video in which he did everything in his power while failing completely to shift the focus away from the comments made by the sheriff's deputy and blame us for reporting on the issue. Apparently now it's our fault that this sheriff's deputy made these offensive comments, and we're hate-mongering for drawing attention to it.
I guess that puts us at the red level, doesn't it, Paul? But there is, at first they came out, they had no comment. Mikhail, when he posted that story, he got a comment from an elected official in the area who thought it was outrageous after he'd looked at the video. The video is outrageous, but it's evidence of the way they're being trained by the FBI, by the Department of Homeland Security. And they came out and said it was taken out of context. It's not taken out of context. Look at the video. He's just going on and on about his wonderful new military toy that he's got, and the lady asked him, why do you need that here? And he says, because of constitutionalists, because people have weapons, people have ammunition. That's why we need this.
And the sheriff's rant, I mean, he claimed we were taking it out of context because we didn't play all the other interviews with all the other officers. But his main point of contention, the context that we should have given it, according to him, and this makes absolutely no sense, so it proves that he has no case whatsoever, is the fact that the woman who filmed the clip claimed that they had the MRAP tanks, the armored vehicles, out at this event to desensitize the children who were at this charity event to a militarized police state. He said that because we didn't include what she said in the video, that somehow invalidates the offensiveness of what the sheriff's deputy said. It doesn't matter what she said. I mean, she could have said that the MRAP was being used to smuggle in, little green men from outer space. It's not about what she said.
Yeah.
That's not the context.
That's right.
The context of the clip are those comments in which the sheriff's deputy said, yeah, we need armored vehicles to deal with constitutionalists and people stockpiling weapons, which again translates as gun owners. So it was a bizarre rant. They should have just come out and apologized. I mean, the best thing they could have done is probably ignore it, because now there's a huge protest taking place on Saturday outside the Spokane Police Department.
Yeah, talk about that. Talk about the protest that's being set up for Saturday.
Exactly. But instead of making an apology and de-escalating the situation, this sheriff merely said that the sheriff's deputy was cautioned for his choice of words, okay? Not the actual meaning and content of his words, his choice of words. They failed to issue any kind of apology. They didn't retract any of it, and they blamed us for reporting on it. And then the sheriff goes on in this 9-minute clip, which is in the InfoWars article, to justify these comments made by the sheriff's deputy by implying that Americans are a violent threat towards police. And again, look at the stats. Violent attacks against police are down. Violent crimes in general in America are down 40%. You cannot justify the purchase or the acquisition of these armored vehicles by citing violence against police, because statistically it's not a case that you can make. There was the other example. This is not an isolated case. We had the purchase of a Bearcat armored vehicle in Concord, New Hampshire last year. The police chief justified the purchase of that vehicle by stating that it was needed to deal with sovereign citizens, free staters, and Occupy New Hampshire activists. So basically that's libertarians and left-wingers. The armored vehicles are needed to deal with people's political free speech. So this is a nationwide issue. It's not an isolated example. And that's why right